Nothing means nothing. Nothing means nothing. Oh, yeah. I'm talking about all the way to the top, baby. I'm talking about one of the most legendary franchises in gaming. Oh, yeah, that's right. You guessed it. Resident Evil! Oh, yeah. Snap into a Slim Jim, baby. That's right. Beef jerky is the greatest food on earth. The cream of the crop. Resident Evil and beef jerky, the cream of the crop. The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah, that's right. Resident Evil. Back on top of the peak, baby. That's right. It's back in peak form to take the belt from all the suckers and losers out there. Oh, yeah, that's right. All those other horror games, all those indies are just pretenders. They're just imitators. Oh, yeah, that's right, Kaina. Resident Evil is the best, it's the oldest, and it's back to take the throne at this year's WrestleMania. All those other games are nothing but garbage. That's right. The garbage man, Macho Man Randy Savage, is gonna take them out to the trash. Oh, yeah.
Oh, hi, everybody. Macho Man Randy Savage has got a point there. I want to do a quick episode where I don't do a review, but I do a review, sort of. I used to review semi-professionally. I mean, I guess professionally means for money. I used to review games for money, and I took it pretty seriously, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I would do it in written form and in video form. And now that I'm not sort of beholden to any one entity, and I don't feel like it is my job, nor is it, I guess, my intention to actually do like a real sit-down review, I don't feel like doing that. I feel like other people do that better, and they probably do it faster. I bought Resident Evil 7, and I played through it 2.5 times on every difficulty, and I got almost all the achievements, and I basically have done everything imaginable in terms of secrets and collectibles and just seeing all the different permutations and ways that game can sort of unfold, endings or different ways boss encounters can unfold. I basically absorbed so much of this game through watching people get scared, shitless out of their brains on Twitch. I'm not sure the anatomy works when I said that. Playing it, talking about it, reading about it. I have two very good and close friends from, middle school. And we have a sort of Resident Evil fan club, and we talk about like the other games, and we're all playing the other games, and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 0, and just, I mean, we're really in like, just Resident Evil, it just feels like it's actually back in a way that it hasn't since 4, essentially. Like, it is just one of those franchises that has just been so big and has been around in so many different forms with the movies, and I feel it's just like it's part of culture, but for some reason, like, the games are like super hit and miss with the spin-offs and the sequels, and like sometimes it can just sort of get out there. It's very weird, but it is like the classic survival horror game and has rebooted itself multiple times to varying degrees of success. And I guess I just wanted to do a video today talking about something that I am trying to articulate very well, because I've done videos on this in the past, and I've spoken to this ad nauseum, and I've had debates about this. It's the fine line between doing a sequel to a game and how much of it needs to be new and different, and how much of it needs to be old and carry over the sort of traits or faults or sins of the previous games. One of the games that I've talked about the most, not online, but in person, or I guess with friends, is like the split of Bungie from Halo, and how you do a game where you're trying to take the core tenets of Halo and bring them into the future and add new stuff and change things and go in a different direction and just be different, and how much of that is being different for the sake of being different, and how much sort of do you carry over. And it is such a endlessly fascinating discussion, because you get so many different points from different people on how successful Halo 4 was and how successful Halo 5 was or is. And I feel like there are so many other franchises that go through that. And I feel like no other art form goes through this. Really, no other art form goes through this. If you make a phone, and you make a new phone, you're going to add new features, and you're going to get rid of the stuff that didn't work, and that's that. And if you make a movie, you're making a movie, and each one sort of stands independently of itself. With rare cases. I'm sure the people at DC are, trying to hear the complaints about their DC movies being awful, or as Macho Man would say, garbage, and trying to, I guess, rework from that. But with games, it is just, like, I feel like there's just so much fervor around that stuff. And Resident Evil 7 fucking pulled it off, retaining all of the things that we love about Resident Evil games, and really just going back to the roots. What a cliche phrase, so trite. But it did, it went back to the roots. It just went back to Resident Evil 1 and said, I'm going to stare at this, and I'm just going to, not copy, but I'm going to take every single good thing this game did, and do it in a different way. One of the ways was making it first person, and you can tell that I feel like Resident Evil really wears its influences on its sleeve. With 4, really took a lot of notes from action games of the time, and other games picked up on what 4 was doing, and 7 just looked around at PT and Amnesia and Outlast and like all these games, and they were like, we're gonna take a lot of ideas and a lot of cool things these games were doing and be in that sort of trend, but not alienate fans of the original games, but still, like, it fucking pulled all of these things off. Right? There's so much old and there's so much new, and it feels like an RE game, but it's doing something different, and like it's the first time it's been in first person, but it really is like an old school Resident Evil game. But there's like all these like smart things it took from 4. Like, I feel like you could break this game down in a trillion different ways. But like, just watching people play on Twitch is so much fun. Playing the game is so great, and I'm so glad it worked out in Capcom's favor. Like, I'm so glad they made a great game, and they were able to take this franchise that I loved and just take the paddles and revitalize it, like bring it back from the dead. Because they were trying to do this with 6, where they were trying to have its cake and eat it too, and serve all the different fans and have the different campaigns, and like it just they weren't keeping their eye on the ball. And with this, it feels like a page 1 rewrite. They just went back to the drawing board, and God, so many trite phrases today. My Jesus Christ! And what they did, they just sat down and said, we're just gonna just start from scratch and just got in a mansion, safe room, breaking boxes to collect items, low ammo, slow moving enemies, tense, creepy. You get to upgrade your stuff and your guns yourself. Doors with dog head things and just weird puzzles and traps, and like it is just like, on paper, it seems like classic RE, and in practice, it is just this perfect blend of everything you could have ever wanted, going backwards and going forwards. And I just feel like we need to give this game so much more credit. Now, obviously, there are like things you could nitpick, and obviously, I feel like a lot of the internet has already done their due diligence and saying most of what I've been saying. I don't feel like I'm telling you anything new. I'm sure you are aware, but like, I just wanted to fucking praise this game because it is so goddamn good. And I feel like when we get to the end of the year, like, I really hope that people remember this game came out in January, because in 2005, RE4 came out in like the first week, and I remember like reading the reviews and playing it and being like, well, 1 week in 2005, we already are playing the game of the year, and nothing else that year came close to RE4. Not saying that's the case with 7, but I'm saying that when we get to the Game of the Year awards, I really hope that like people like go back and they remember like the great moments that this game had, and great little uses of music and great uses of lighting and shadows that will scare the shit out of you if you're not paying attention, and some of the great level design and the puzzles, which are not so obtuse you need to look up a guide like the old games, but they're not like stupidly easy. It's like the difficulty is like right there. It's really good. And even like the fucking family, like the villains, they're memorable, and like the story is not really directly connected to any of the other games. There's like no cameos. There's very few like touches of references to Umbrella and other stuff. But it just feels like an RE game. Like the whole tone, like the whole theme, like it's like mutations and viruses and all this stuff going wrong, experimentation, and like that's all patented RE. And and the son of Jack and Marguerite, I think his name is Lucas. He's great. Whoever did the performance is great. Whoever did the voice acting is fucking terrific. Like every moment that guy has on screen when he kidnaps Mia and how he's taunting you. He's like this engineer. You go into his room. He's got all these awards and setting the traps and you do the videotape of like the first guy doing his stupid Saw games. You know, he's playing the Jigsaw killer and the birthday party thing with the clown. Like all this stuff is so fucking good, and like, God, like, and that's like 3 levels in, or like three bosses in, you know, and it's still like it's like each section is like so different in how they feel and how they play and the houses and the maps. Man, RE7's fucking great. Go play that game. I'm so glad I bought that game new, and I gave all of my money, or you know, enough of it to Capcom. I'm sure a number of it goes to the retailer and the distributor and the manufacturer and Microsoft because they play it on an Xbox. But that's all I wanted to say with this video. I want to do the Macho Man bit, and I just wanted to go on a very vague and not specific rave of RE7. Go play the game. Do not be afraid. It is not as scary as its contemporaries, but it's still like in that sort of great zone of like just enough where you think there's stuff that's gonna come, but most of the time nothing ever really happens, but it's in your head because they set it up so early, like, yeah, shit's gonna happen, and then most of the game you're just walking around, you're just doing stuff, collecting stuff and micromanaging your inventory and going back to the boxes and everything, like, you know, patented RE. And there's less zombies walking around like that original mansion, but the whole time you're like, man, I know this game's gonna fuck with me somehow. Just play it. Stop being a pussy. Just go play it. Don't be such a wussy. Yeah, man. It's great. So, there you go. I'm gonna try to make this video short. I'll end it now. Follow me on Twitter at @JaredRusso. And I'll make another video in the future. Adios.